Hey guys, so as you can tell by the title of the video, I have got to do a tip repair on Matthew's knife. Now this is kind of a unique knife. This is a Cuda, first production run. Matt has had this since he was like 10 years old. He bought this in Mall of America in, up in, where's that? The Mall of America is in St. Paul, Minnesota. And so he bought this. It was like the first knife he ever bought. But this is one of those ones that I told you about in another video that has got a unique deployment method. It has a little thumb stud that rides in a track, and when it's actually, when it's all lubricated, it actually is a fairly smooth action. It's a push out kind of deployment. So, but Matthew has managed to break the tip off of this almost entirely, as you can see. So I thought it would be kind of a cool idea for me to get the camera, get it down, take a view. I'm not gonna keep you guys with me for the entire thing. It's gonna take forever. But, well, maybe not. This isn't a real hard steel. This is just, I can't tell what steel it is. But it's got some rust on it, so I would say it's not a high quality steel. So what we're gonna try and do is we're gonna try and maintain the lines of this knife, put a new tip on it, and then get it back to Matt so he can have his little baby, first knife he ever purchased on his own, back. So hang out for a second, I'll get everything set up. The video I did this morning is uploading. This will probably not go up till tomorrow. You probably are gonna see this tomorrow, even though I'm filming it the same day. And so you guys know, I did film an introduction video for new subscribers to my channel. It's about 2 minutes long. I'm gonna put it in my channel. I'm just trying to do things that I see other channels doing that have been successful. So let's go ahead and we'll get this tip down so you can see what I'm doing. Probably gonna see a lot of my hands, and we'll see how this comes out. I'm not gonna try and keep it as a really long video. So, all right guys, I got all my stuff out. So one of the things that I wanted to point out before we even start on this is that there is a definite difference in how you accomplish a tip repair on a tanto, an Americanized tanto, versus the way you would do it on, say, a drop point. Because these two angles have to be maintained to maintain that. Now, I mean, if you wanted me to round that over, I could basically turn that into a Japanese style tanto where this secondary point is more rounded over like you'd see in a traditional one, but you would still have that thicker spot that would do some penetration. It's actually cheaper to do it that way, but that's not what Matthew wants. This was the first knife he bought. He wants it to kind of stay the same, and we're gonna try and see if we can't take that spot right there. Let me see if I can focus in on it. See that spot where it's kind of lower in the middle than it is on the ends? We're gonna try and see if we can take that out. So that's basically, you have to, you can't just work only on the tip and then not do anything on this flat side here. Go ahead, make your jokes. I'm waiting, I'm pausing for the jokes. And so at any rate, so I've got everything set up. We'll get the camera tip down so you can see what I'm doing. I'll try and get a good angle. I am not going to, I don't know, I might. It's just chilly enough you want something to wear, like a jacket, but not cold enough to really need it. So you're in that, when the wind blows you're cold, but then when you're not wearing it you're hot. Or when it's not blowing you're hot. So, all right guys, let's get this all set up. All right guys, I'm sorry if this seems like an odd angle, but this is about the way we're gonna have to do it. So, the first thing you have to do is you have to start and even out both of these lines. So I'm gonna start on this. Let's see, maybe I should tip this up just a little bit. That's a kind of an odd angle to be sitting at. So I am gonna use my coarse diamond plate first, and we're gonna try and reestablish this forward bevel, but we are gonna have to work on this back bevel. So, and like I said, I'm not gonna try and keep you around for the entire video because that's gonna take, this is gonna take me a while. So we're going to establish a new flat bevel on one side and then the other. Now I will tell you that this knife needs to come back a little bit this way, forward. Not much. Just ever so slightly, I need to try and move this forward angle a little bit forward. Not much, just a little bit. So seeing that, we are gonna start there, because the fact is I have to move it forward to be able to take off the material I need to. Otherwise, it's not gonna marry up the way it should, and it's gonna look ridiculous. And it won't be the same. The other thing you can do too in a tip repair, from time to time, depending on how bad it is, which this one's not the worst I've ever done, but it's pretty bad. You can also modify the blade shape a little bit, where you take some material off of this back and bring it down towards the tip. As you can see, it's not the greatest right now. So I have to take off some material on this side. It would be a serrated one where I have to try and maintain where I don't get into that. Nice thing is this is a soft steel. So what I'm doing here is, even though I really don't need to do much with this part of the edge, I'm moving that angle. I'm walking that angle here forward a little bit by taking material off of this side. By taking material off this flat, I'm moving the angle forward because I'm dropping that material down and working my way into this edge. I'm doing that because I know I'm gonna have to take off a significant amount of material here. So what we'll do is, we'll start doing that for a little bit. And guys, I apologize, I wanted to do this live, but I currently have no Wi-Fi. It's not that I have no Wi-Fi, I have no internet at the moment, because apparently the box on the street is bad, so it's taking an inordinate amount of time to upload, and there is no way I could do a live feed. So we'll stop there for the moment. Make sure that we're evening out this bevel. Yeah, now I can start taking some material off, but I am gonna have to keep from time to time going back to that edge. So I'll get started on this, and I'll work on it for a little bit, and then we'll see where I'm at, and I will get back to to videoing it, because I don't want you guys to try and stick around for what could take quite a while. So, but see how I'm starting to even out that bevel that was kind of rounded and low? This side's still got a little bit to it. I've got to take off some material there. And it's because of the way the blade was ground. So I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get rid of all of it, but we'll see. Yeah, I don't know if that was a remnant of a bad grind on this knife, or if it's just the way it had been sharpened in the past. But we shall see. So guys, I've been working on this for it's been about another 10 minutes, and we're working towards getting that tip repaired. But what I was gonna show you is, you guys have seen me do this before. There's times where I have a hold of the blade like this, or I've got a hold of it like this when I'm going back, and I'm holding on to the edge. So I'm gonna tell you a secret. I always try to get as much done on this before I do much to this, because that makes it a little less sharp. This is actually fairly dull. There's no real edge on that right now at all. But this does have serrations. Unless it's a technique you've done a few times, I don't really recommend it, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna cut yourself. I have a huge callus built up right here, predominantly from doing tantos this way. So, yeah, we're working that way. I've almost evened these bevels out. They are gonna have a little low spot here because of the way they're ground. It's almost a hollow. So the material, the grind comes up like this on a hollow, and then this is kind of a flat. So you're always gonna have a spot where it's gonna be fatter here than it is here, because there's just less material back here at that point. But we will try to marry that together. So we're gonna keep going for a little bit. I'll keep you guys with me for a few minutes, and then I probably will bring you back when I've got the repair almost done, so you can see. But this is basically the only way I know to do it. So I'm sure there's gonna be people go, well, why don't you just take it up to the shop? You have access to grinders. The thing with that is, grinding one of these is its own unique thing. Marrying those points together, I might do enough damage to it that it would just be worthless for me to even try and go, and then I would be forced to come back here and do it this way. So it's just a matter of, I know my limitations on equipment, So I would say it's probably a safer choice for Matthew's knife for me just to do it by hand like this. So we're gonna work on this for a little bit more. I think I'm starting to get it evened out where it's gonna have less of a, this side has a definite belly to it that I just, has a lot to do with the way this knife was ground. So we will we'll keep doing this, and then I'll bring you guys back in a few minutes when I get closer to having it done. All right guys, I've been working on this for a little bit more. I was talking to the camera and didn't realize it wasn't on. So I'm gonna show you why we're getting this weird, so I don't want you guys to think that like I don't know how to sharpen it. It's on both sides. I'll show you exactly why. I'm gonna turn the camera around. We use the back camera because you can get a better view of it. I'll show you why. There's a specific reason, and I can point it out to you. So hang on just a second, let me get this turned. Okay, so you guys see where this hollow is and how it cuts clear up to here? That's why this material here is thicker than the material here. And I don't know why they brought it so far forward. It should have terminated back here. That hollow should have swept up to here, and then it was a flat all the way down. That's how they usually do it, but what happens is that material is thicker there and there, so you wind up with a thick spot, and if you're not careful, what happens is you can get a recurve. You can wind up with a recurve in this area because it's higher, so you have to be really careful. But if you see, I've almost got that tip back where it should be, but you can see, look how thick that is compared to back here. And so this is never going to be as slicey and nice as the rest of it. And you can see I've evened out the angles. I've terminated have the marriage point for the angles pretty much even now. And then when I do this, I'm going to even that marriage point out when I do this flat area here. Don't like tantos, guys. There's a reason I charge more for them. They are a lot of work, especially when something happens to them. So I've been working at this for a good bit of time now. It's one. I think I started this at I want to say I started this right at 12:30-ish, 12 o'clock-ish. So I'll put an entire elapsed time in it, how long it actually took me. But we're at a point where I'm refining the tip. And so now I have to kind of play with it because I've set the profiles. Now I'm just taking off enough material to put an actual tip on this. And so, I mean, you guys have already seen the technique of how I do it. So this is the hardest part. The rest of it's just basically going to be refining the edge that I'm setting and tying in those two angles on either side of this so that they are even and straight, which they're pretty close right now, but this one definitely needs to come up a little bit on this side. So you kind of have to, you just got to be patient. This is one of those times where you would want to really just, like, things aren't going as fast as you want, and you think, I'll just push harder, and you're not really doing anything. I've told you guys before, let the abrasives do the work. You can't expedite it by putting more pressure. I'm not putting any pressure. I'm just letting the knife glide along the stone. Minimal pressure, probably the weight of my hand. Okay, I have big hands, so for most people, you might want to push a little, but when you push, what happens is you start stripping diamonds off your diamond plate, you start causing premature wear on your stones. The abrasives don't work any better when you apply pressure. As a matter of fact, what happens sometimes when you apply pressure is you don't leave enough gap for the material to actually lift out, and you can actually slick your stones by putting too much pressure. That's one of the things that will cause a slick stone, is if you push too hard, you're not only causing wear, but you're forcing that material down into the pores of the stone. So it's just an exercise in patience, but we are almost there. I do have to take some material off the spine. I am gonna have to, but before I do, I wanna make sure I check with Matthew. But while I'm doing this, I was gonna tell you guys, I gotta take a hand break second. This has been a long thing. So you guys that keep telling me I needed to try Cbn Stones, I have got 2 Cbn Stones that were something that the guy that makes the matrix stones did not like, and so he never made them. But these are Cbn. I have 2 grits. I have a coarse. I have like an 80, and then about an 80 and then I think a 250 is what it feels like. They're real in comparison to, maybe this is a little bit less than this, than that 80. But they, reason he sent them, he wanted me to see how I liked them because he said on some of the softer steels they might not load up as quickly. So I am trying the CBN. They're not, ooh, they're great. Not like what I got when I first got the Diamond Matrix Stones. And there's a reason he doesn't make them. He didn't like them either. It's the guy that makes them. So I'm not alone in that. So that's, you know, he sent it to me just to see if I liked them. He said if I didn't, I could send them back. I like them for certain things. They seem to not load as quickly, but I'm not getting that wow factor like I would from, like I did when I first got the Diamonds. So we'll have to see. We'll test them out a little bit more. But like I've said, people keep telling me, oh, use CBN. And my point of it is, CBN is not as hard as Diamond. And therefore, your abrasive is not going to hold up as long as Diamond. And if I'm already using something, because it's pretty close to Diamond, why would I want to use something, if I already have a set of Diamond Stones, why would I invest in something else? A new set. I mean, I get it, some people like them, but sometimes, I mean, some people like fruit in their Jello. I don't get it. Some people like vegetables in their Jello, like carrots and shit. I don't get it. Who am I to say that that's wrong, though? Nah, that's pretty fucking wrong. But, all right, guys, I'm gonna get back to this. I think once I get the tip completely done before I take any material off the spine, I'll bring you guys back for that. All right, guys, we have reached the point where it's now gonna be necessary for me to take a minor bit of material off the spine, right there. And so we're gonna do that with a small diamond file so that I can control that a little better, because what I have to do is I have to drift this tip just forward, just slightly. Because I don't want to take off too much material off the spine, but I also want to make sure that that tip doesn't get rounded looking. And what's gonna happen is, if I don't do this, that tip is gonna round over. It's gonna look rounded over. And I mean, Matt and I can always refinish this blade, and then I can just do a touch-up sharpening after we refinish it, if he doesn't like the aesthetic of one tiny little shiny spot right at the tip. So there we go, guys. I have re-established the tip on this knife. It's not perfect, but what I can do is I can refine that while I'm sharpening, because it still has some weirdness to it right at the very tip, but I'm gonna take off more material in the actual sharpening. So now I need to bring that point forward, back to where it belongs, and even up these angles. That's not gonna take very long. So basically I'm just dropping that point where it marries down a little bit and evening it out so it doesn't have any weird inconsistencies, and it should look closer. If I do this right, it should look closer to what it was from the factory than a lot of people do it. Now, I would not recommend trying to do, I've seen people do it. I don't think you'd be able to really do this very, very well and very consistently on a fixtured system. I think it would be difficult. So I never tried it. I mean, it might allow you a little more consistency, but I mean, I've gotten to where I'm pretty good at doing tantos freehand. And I don't need a fixtured system to maintain that consistency I want. So there we go. Those, can you guys see? Married that angle. I married that angle. They're pretty consistent. So now the next step is we are going to see, I'm not sure what steel this is, but we're going to see how it does on the Diamond Stones. If it doesn't do well on the Diamond Stones, we will switch to the aluminum oxides. And may as well get those in the water right now. Get my 8,000, my 10,000. May as well get those in the water right now to soak up some water so that we can just start. It's a 220, 400, 600, and 1,000. soak those for a little bit. We're gonna play with it. Actually, you know, I can use these CBNs. I'll show you. I'll use these CBNs. Let's see. That's the finer of the two, I think. 80. Yes, this is an 80 grit, and this is a. Yep. Okay. So we'll use the 80 grit first. We're just gonna start refining these edges a little bit. But I'm gonna work on this one first. I just wanted to knock the burr off of that one down there so it's not digging into my hand with that rough burr off of that diamond plate. So let's see here. I really like the 1-inch wide stones. I don't lose any travel really, but I'm not wasting stone. Like on this, I'm never really touching that part. You can see shiny areas where it's loaded with steel. I never really hit the middle on that very often. Now I will say these cut well. The CBN seems to cut well. It's just I don't think that it's really that big of a deal. And I don't know if they, I can't really say that they don't load, because I haven't used them enough to fucking really see. Oh, watch my language. Wind up getting this video demonetized. All right, guys. I know I talked in the last video about the demonetizing. I think it's just something that all of us creators on YouTube are just going to have to live with and adapt to. I fully expect that this channel is going to wind up being completely demonetized, because after they go after the gun channels, the knife channels are next. I mean, let's look at it. That's what they did in Europe. After they went after all the guns, then they realized people were killing each other with knives, and I'm like, look, here's the thing, people are going to kill each other. Let me pull this up. This is I'll do my donut operator impression. People are going to kill each other. It just, if you restrict what they have available to kill each other with, they're going to find something else. Next thing you know, it'll be out there. People have been killing each other with rocks and hammers since the Dark Ages, since millennia past, since prehistory. And I don't foresee them being able to ban rocks. So I don't know exactly what they think they're going to accomplish, because the only thing that I can see that they've truly done is left themselves with a populace that is unprotected. The cops don't even carry guns. That news for you. Europe, criminals still have guns. You European lawmakers, you need to think about that. So, anyway, I'm gonna keep refining this down. I'll bring you back when I get closer to being ready to actually do the final finish sharpening. Okay, guys, the tip repair is officially complete. The knife is completely repaired. Now it's time to do the finish refined sharpening. And so you guys know I talk about that. There's a difference between sharpening and honing. So that means that I'm gonna now take this to a finer stone and I'm gonna begin refining. So when I talk about that, sharpening is your lower grit stones. And I consider sharpening everything up to 1,000 grit. Because 1,000 grit, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's like people are like a 220 grit belt. They're like, oh, well, that's pretty fine belt. It's really not. That's still a 220 grit belt on a grinder. That's a no shit belt. That's a no joke belt. You can screw a knife up pretty badly on a 220 grit belt if you're not careful. Trust me. If you are not careful, you can still really screw up an edge grind. Or not an edge grind, but a bevel. You can really screw up and get some facets and really screw stuff up if you're not careful even on a 220 grit belt. It's pretty easy to do. Then you got to go back to a 120. So, you know, I start straight razors at 1,000. I start to reprofile on straight razors at 1,000 grit. Now, granted, there's a lot less contact with the actual stone. It's just a very thin edge, but so like I said, we're gonna move to 400 grit. And we're just gonna try and maintain, I'll tip you down just a little bit so you can see what's going on. Sorry it's shaky. But I'm basically doing the same thing you saw me doing before, just at a finer grit, and starting to refine the scratch pattern. And so now that I've established those bevels, I'm going to try and spend as much time on the forward as I do on the back, because that's going to keep my marriage point consistent. So that marriage point where those two angles intersect is it's relatively important in an American style tanto if you want to maintain the aesthetic. So yeah, guys, it's a matter of patience. Like I said, it's been a significant amount of time. Like I don't know the exact time. I'll be able to look at when I started the first video clip and then when I finished, and we can judge it from there. Now, you still have to be careful. Like I said, I'm moving up in grit, but your 400 grit stone is still a pretty good workhorse. It's taken off a significant amount of material. So when you get into those, when you go from one grit to the next, keep in mind, even if you're going, you know, until you get up to around 1,000 grit, that they're still taking off a significant amount of material. So these are my aluminum oxide stones. I am doing that. Like I said, I like having multiple type stones available. Like I said, the CBN, I don't see the need for having CBN and diamond. I mean, I do now. I have them. I mean, I don't see the need, but I have them because David was kind enough to send them to me. But if I'm not seeing a marked difference in how things work on those, then I'm probably going to send them back to him like he asked. So I don't see having that many different types of abrasive. This is never going to be something that just feels super sharp. So, yeah, I'm going to finish up on this stone. I'll bring you back when I hit about 1,000. So guys, I'm just getting started on 1,000 grit. I almost forgot to bring you guys along. So I finished on the 600, now we're on 1,000, and now we're reaching a point where I'm refining that scratch pattern down to a keen cutting edge. This isn't blunt force that I'm applying. This is the beginning of the super refinement. I'm gonna take this to, I think I'm only gonna take it to about 8,000, but we'll see. We will see how that goes. We're gonna see. And now I'll turn the camera around. I'm gonna show you something I'm pretty proud of. It's you can call it bragging if you want, but I'm gonna show you guys when I get close enough to do it. I'll show you guys one of the things I take pride in when I do. I don't like doing these, but one of the things I take pride in is the consistency that I get them to. And see, even your 1,000 grit, you're still taking off. You're still taking off a good bit of material. It's still, like I said, it's one of the ones that, like, if this was a straight razor, I would consider this my brute force tool. This would be my workhorse for a straight razor. And part of that is because when you get too coarse, you actually damage that edge, and you're on a straight razor. It's counterproductive to use too coarse of a stone on something that delicate and fine as a straight razor. All right, so let's see. I think we're pretty much at 1,000 grit. Now this is where I'm gonna look and check and see if there's any pieces of the scratch pattern from previous stones that I may have missed in this, and I'm not seeing any. So it means we've done it pretty well. Now I'm gonna turn the camera around for you, and I'm gonna show you something. So guys, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna call it bragging. See that marriage right there? How that angle is consistent on both sides. That's freehand. That's one of the things I am proudest of, and this is kind of how people really found me, was it was something that I could do that not a lot of people could do. But you can still see there's that thick area right here, and you can see where it starts. It's where this grind terminates. It's thinner and it's thicker here, and then there's some material that's been removed here and here when they did the swedge. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump you. So you can see there's just a little thick spot there, and that's something I'm never going to be able to get rid of. But there we go, guys. There's my marriage point for those two angles. And you gotta, that takes practice. That's all it is it takes practice, and it takes consistency and a steady hand. Sorry guys, I meant to bring you along. I missed a step. You missed a couple stones. We're at 8,000. We're gonna bring this edge up to a good polish. We're gonna see how it looks at 8,000. That might be where it stays. Not sure yet. Haven't decided. But it's 8,000 is. 8,000 isn't a garbage finish. That's what I base my price point on for most knives that come in. If you're going to it, like you guys have seen the videos, but if you're going to 8,000, that's my standard finish. That's my standard edge finish. And you would actually be surprised how many people don't even want to go to 8,000. There's been a lot of people that send me stuff, and so you know. It's, I had to standardize the price structure with it being starting at 8,000. So, but I will post as soon as, I don't know if you guys noticed. So today is Wednesday, the 13th. Instagram was down, and so was YouTube, or Facebook, I mean, this morning. I thought it was my internet. I was complaining, and then I get a news notification that, you know, pretty much the entire country, Facebook is down, and I was like, well, that sucks, because I had stuff that I was gonna post up for sale today, for auction. The Frederick is going up as soon as I can get pictures posted. It's going up today, and guys, if you're interested in that Aaron Frederick knife, it is gorgeous. It needs a good home. I can't keep it. And so I'm gonna sell it, and I'll pay Nico back the money he lent me to buy it, because it was strictly a purchase for the channel and some other things, and I couldn't not at least have it for a day or two. So it's been a couple months now. I need to pay Nico back because he's making a trip to Europe, so I've got to get him back that money. So if you guys are interested in that Aaron Frederick knife, keep an eye on my Instagram. It's going to be going up probably today, and it'll still be up. I'm going to give it like a week or so. So, guys, I think we're done on this. At least we're done enough that I can stop recording. We've married angles. We've repaired the tip. We got it good and sharp. It has taken us a long time, and I have got dirty hands, but it's always fun. It's not always fun to do it, but it's always fun to see on the backside the before and after of how things looked before I started and how they wound up. Yep, it's got a nice good tip, and over time, over, you know, more sharpenings and things like that, it's gonna get better. So let's turn it around and take a good look at this. We don't even have to turn it around. Look at that edge. 8,000 grit edge. I haven't stropped it yet. We'll give it a quick strop, make sure I've knocked the burr completely off. Marla, if you're watching, I love this strop. I love this strop you sent me. It gets used a lot. It gets used to make sure that I've knocked the initial burr off. It loads nice and easy. And it's a nice starter step before I get it onto the diamond strops too. It does a really good job knocking the burr off. So Marla, if you're watching, really, really appreciate it. And to the anonymous benefactor, Bob, if you are still watching my videos, I need you to give me a call. I'm worried the phone number I had for you is no longer working. I meant to say that yesterday. So let's go ahead and strop this, do a sharpening test, and then I'll let you guys go, because this is going to be a little bit longer video. So these, I don't necessarily consider my balsa wood strops as a strop per se. I use them as strops to touch the edge back up on things. They are more, I would say they are more like a super, super ultra fine honing stone. Yeah, that edge doesn't need to go up any higher. It's already good and sharp. There's no need to go up any higher. It's not going to do anything on the aesthetics. This is, I'm not sure what steel this is. Some steels take a really high sheen and polish at a lower grit. D2 is one of them. D2 will take a polish, mirror polish at about 1,000 grit. S30V will take a polish at a lower grit. So, I mean, you don't always have to take everything all the way up. And some steels just don't like the higher grits. They really don't. And depending on what you're going to do with a knife, I'm really careful to try and ask what the customer is going to do with that knife. So we're going to do a quick test. Watch this not cut. Like, oh, it's tearing. I was wrong. It's sharp. Even that blunter, thicker tip is sharp. So, all right, enough tip jokes. The deployment on this is actually pretty cool. I was like, dude, that's just silly at first. And then once I was like, it's so stiff and it didn't want to, once we cleaned it up and put a little KPL in it, it's not I do not get paid by KPL to throw the product or to recommend a product. I like it. It works pretty well. Not a bad knife. It's unique. It is unique, and it's not horribly made. I don't necessarily like the handles, and it's a little thick. It's a little thick behind the edge in a few places for me. Guys, realized I forgot to say it, so here it comes. There'll be the end link, but I forgot to tell you guys in that if you guys want to support my daughter's ice skating season, the link for her GoFundMe will be down below. I've had a lot of people donate, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. There's been a lot of people that donated, not to the GoFundMe, but just basically gave, some people gave my daughter $500 worth of ice time. Somebody donated $500 to my daughter's coach for free lessons. So guys, whoever, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much for all that. If you can support it, I would appreciate it. If you can't, just share the link. It'll be down below. That's it, guys. If you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give them a thumbs down. Please try and tell me why. There's always going to be, let me see, down in this corner, there'll be a Patreon link if you want to support the channel. The subscribe button will be here. And then over here, there's going to be a video that YouTube thinks you would enjoy. You guys take it easy. Have a good day. Be good to each other, and I'll see you next time.